Welcome to Mick at the Movies. Top 3 funny men in film. Kind of interesting. Number 3, Richard E. Grant. Simply because he was in one of the funniest movies ever made, Withnail and Die. Blows my mind, this guy plays such a convincing drunk because the actor, Richard E. Grant, is allergic to alcohol, so hasn't really been drunk that many times. But there has never been a drunker man on screen than the character of Withnail. That from possibly Bill Grundy when he interviewed the Sex Pistols back in the 70s. I guess that's a joke for people over 65, or boomers as the youth call them. Grant's performance as a hopeless drunk is hilarious and tragic at the same time, and certainly outstrips anybody who's won an Oscar in recent times. Blooming funny too. Kind of interesting. Number 2, the one and only Leslie Nielsen. Just throwing it out there. Nielsen was a late bloomer into comedy, not getting into it into his 50s, and had he not taken that leap into that great sitcom Police Squad, he may have only been remembered for that stunning turn in the show Columbo. He was the king of spoof comedy, sending things up. Movies like Airplane, Naked Gun, Wrongfully Accused, and the absolutely wonderfully surreal Repossessed. This was a man who owned the spoof genre, and his main operandus, whatever it says, what the posh people say, was just to make people laugh by being silly, silly, silly. Yeah, true as well, kind of interesting. Man's comic timing was flawless, and it's kind of a crime that America don't worship him in the same way they do Chaplin. He was a king of the spoof movie. And when friends and family over here in the United Kingdom say to me, I don't believe you don't like Ricky Gervais, what's your problem? Are you jealous or something? I say, nah, nah, nah. It's just because I have seen how comedy should be done, and it's Nielsen, 100%. The guy just owns it. Quality and talent. Not as deadpan as you think. Yeah, he delivers really crazy lines with a straight face, but he likes to mug to the camera too. I think he's America's greatest ever comedy actor. Treat it as you will. Number 1, the funniest person to ever appear in movies is United Kingdom's very own Graham Chapman. Yeah, a lot of people don't know Chapman now because he died very young, just in his late 40s, but he really is one of the funniest people who ever appeared in movies. Chapman, son of a police officer, started life training to be a doctor, and the rumour is he was at a special meal and the Queen Mother of all people turned up, and Chapman said that he had a job in a hospital waiting, but also he had a job to go and perform in Australia in a theatre production. What should he do? And apparently the Queen Mum said, go in the theatre production, treat that as you will. So comedy's gain is medical's loss. Maybe. I mean, he could have been a rubbish doctor. I'm sure many of you are thinking, who's Graham Chapman? I've never heard of him. But remember this one thing before we move on. Just because you haven't heard of somebody doesn't mean they're not very good. Your life isn't that important. Chapman was a member of the comedy troupe Monty Python, a successful sketch show in the British 60s. Now, I have to admit, it's hit and miss the sketch show itself, but the movies they made were very, very good. They made 3 of them officially. There was The Holy Grail, there was Life of Brian, and then a big sketch show movie called The Meaning of Life. Yeah, true larger will. Interestingly, well, it's interesting to me, in the first 2 movies, who played the lead? Well, none of them. My good mate, Graham Chapman. He played King Arthur in Monty Python's Holy Grail, and he played Brian in the Jesus spoof, The Life of Brian. And it was banned in some countries. I think they said that maybe it was banned in Norway. The comedy so funny it was banned in Norway. I mean, I could be wrong, Google it. Graham Chapman had that rare talent of saying absurd lines and keeping a straight face, which Leslie Nielsen, who we just discussed, was also a master of. But not only that, he could play a vulnerable person. Please Google the search when he comes out the window and goes, I'm not the Messiah, I'm not the Messiah, and he just falls apart. Basically, he was an absolutely blooming, sorry for swearing, good actor. What's a really impressive geek fact is when he took the role of Arthur in Holy Grail, he was actually going through DTs as he was coming off years of alcohol abuse. So he was going through his recovery then. So he was delivering these great lines and then going on a hill, and I think Scotland somewhere, in chainmail, shivering and unwell because, well, he was coming off the grog. I wonder what would have happened to Chapman had he lived, because obviously Palin did great with the travel shows. Terry Jones did his thing, the history stuff. Eric Idle, he did lots of musicals, and John Cleese did that really great Fawlty Towers thing, and Fish Called Wonder, and he got very angry. But Chapman, he was so different to them. He was a proper eccentric. He wasn't just acting; he was as funny on stage as he was off stage. Well, that's certainly what his book said that I read. I mean, there could have been lying on that, but I think it's a shame he died so young because he could have taken over the world, and this is why we don't know who he is now because unfortunately he died very young. If you've never heard of the films, Google The Life of Brian and Google Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and then just sit back and accept the fact that he is the funniest man who ever appeared in a movie. What a cool dude. Graham Chapman, number one. Now, I know comedy is subjective, but I am right and you are wrong. If you disagree, put it in the comments. Treat it as you will. Join me next week when I discuss how I forgot to cut my toenails before going on holiday and got a right earache off my wife.